Well, it's Tuesday, the 19th of November, 2024, and you're live on the news review segment on the AM show, the Ben and Sweetie show. We're about to take off. Benjamin Akapo, you haven't seen you smile this morning yet.
It's that kind of morning. When I spoke to you this morning,
I hope my energy rubs off you. I'm in high spirits.
When I spoke to you this morning, I'm sure you got a feel. You could tell from the voice. But it is what it is. So.
Sometimes it happens. But, I mean, we're looking forward to our favorite deal this morning. We have Kojo Poku, energy analyst, and Wisdom Dugbe, financial analyst, joining us to review the newspapers this morning. Good morning, gentlemen. If you're with us, let's hear. Let's hear you say something. We're testing the microphone.
Good morning. Good morning. I like the way you said Ben and Sweetie show.
Yeah. Okay, Wisdom,
Good morning, guys.
Okay, so, gentlemen, let me start with Kojo Poku. Kojo Poku, what will be your 2-minute take for us this morning?
Well, Asante for Muchemi na me bomachin. Well, it's a good thing. I spoke here because we are in the Ashanti region. We've been here for 2 weeks.
Right.
And at the end of today, we'll mark when Dr. Baumia has done all 16 regions twice. We have done 265 constituencies out of the 276. The only presidential candidate that has done that in this election. It tells you that the man means business. He's out there giving out his bold solutions. The beautiful sight yesterday was in Aswansi when you go to the Lions Den, where we know we've never won the Aswansi seat. So we are very excited about the responses and the feedback that we got. We drove through the municipality of Asokore-Mampong, which is Aswansi, and the response, everybody showing one when we were driving through. So it means that, look, things are well. We are just praying that come 3 weeks from today, Ghanaians will go out in their numbers and make Dr. the president that we all hope he's going to be.
All right. Thank you for making it brief. Wisdom, it's your turn now.
Sweetie, I read that a rating agency, Fitch, will move Ghana out of a sovereign default by middle of next year once we complete all of our standard debt restructuring processes. That is a good thing for the nation. And I'm quite optimistic that as we continue to make progress with our debt issues, together with other sound policies and reforms, I think our economic outlook should improve, especially with responsible and also competent leadership to lead the nation into that economic recovery that we desire and need as a nation. And I did mention this some time ago that our credit worthiness should improve. And with this debt restructuring, that should help boost investor confidence and hopefully, attract new sources of financing into the country. Also, with the declining of our debt servicing costs through this restructuring effort, it is good for the perception of our debt sustainability. So I'm not surprised to hear that Fitch will move Ghana out of the sovereign default rating next year. So let's hope all of these can positively impact inflation because we wouldn't need to borrow excessively to continue our scheme of borrowing to pay back other loans. And this could help to stabilize the exchange rate and improve market confidence for investment, which are all good to reverse the depreciation of the cedi.
Right.
And finally, I would always say this. Hopefully, we can learn the lesson and become more fiscally responsible as a nation and pursue policies that will help prevent, another unfortunate debt crisis in the future.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. Let's get straight down to business. I'll start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On the front page, end Galamsey cases in 2024, Attorney General says to the courts. And we have this picture here. Cholera kills 7 in Central Region, a rather sad situation. I think in addition to 7 deaths, there are about 47 confirmed cases and about 200 and something suspected cases in the Central Region. Later on the AM show, we'll have a conversation on that and how we can stem the tide. Ghana needs campaign financing framework to regulate spending. And, well, let's get straight into it. These are just the stories on the front page. So the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Aboadame, has expressed concern about long adjournments in some legal mining cases in courts across the country. And he expressed his reservations on the back of recent developments in the ongoing proceedings in the Circuit Court and High Court in Sekondi and Takoradi Western Region. And speaking to the Ghanaian Times on Sunday, Mr. Dame, who has made strenuous efforts to prosecute persons engaged in illegal mining, also known as Galamsey, said it was his wish that the courts deliver judgment in all Galamsey cases before the end of 2024. If that actually happens, I think most of us would be happy, to say the least. 2 more killed, others injured in Boko clashes. 2 more people were killed and several others suffered gunshot wounds during violent clashes in Daduri, a suburb of Boko in the Upper East region last Thursday. And the violence, which involved gun battle, led to 2 houses being set ablaze, further intensifying the area's ongoing security crisis. And this incident brings Boko's recent death toll to 25, following the killing of an elderly man last week who was attacked on his way home from the hospital. Let me put a pin in this and rush through the entire paper. Now come to you, gentlemen. Electrician gets 3 years for stealing woman's 40,000 Ghana cedis. In Ugandan, TikToker jailed for insulting president. Gabon approves law allowing junta leader to contest elections. Counting costs, losing lives. Ghana's hypertension emergency. We should take this seriously. Trump's Trump card. This is an editorial. I do want to get into this hypertension emergency briefly. So, Kwabena Ejiri, a 47-year-old Mason from Kwabeng in Ghana's eastern region, thought he knew his body. Years of battling fatigue, headache. Okay, so it's a story about someone and how they're battling hypertension. Okay, let's move on. Dr. Baumia will revitalize economy if elected. Mahama commends Ebusuapenyi Crenshaw for building community health center for Enyan Denchira. Keep protesting, says Navalny's widow at Berlin March. And at least 34 killed in Israeli strike in northern Gaza. Back here in Ghana, Employment Minister presents 12 more pickups to PECs. That's the Public Employment Center across the country. And Ghana Gas committed to building local expertise. These are some stories here in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. You can pick one for yourself and get into it. But I do want to hear your quick reflections on some of these stories. Wisdom Dogbe, let me start with you.
Sorry, my thoughts and prayers are with the families of those that lost their lives to this cholera outbreak.
Yeah.
And I'm praying that the health officials can get the necessary intervention for the folks and stop the spread of cholera and help the people in those communities. But I would like to divert my attention to Galamsey quickly. I would say kudos to the Attorney General for responding to the public outcry about the menace of Galamsey. You know, starting to prosecute some of these, the folks accused of illegal mining and polluting our water bodies and destroying our forests.
Yeah.
That is a good response from the Attorney General to the public protest. I wish they had started prosecuting these illegal miners sooner, but better late than never, they say. Look, in this fight to stop illegal mining, I think we need to implement, stronger regulation and enforcement as a deterrent. And that is what these prosecutions will do. It will send a strong case to others that they will face the full rigors of the law if caught in Galamsey. So we need to also strengthen or improve our law enforcement. I've heard of instances where foreign nationals are arrested for illegal mining, but are later released because there is no one, supposedly there is no one to bail them. If this is true, what kind of deterrent, sweetie, are we providing to these foreigners to prevent them from breaking the law with impunity in the sector? So I hope those that are being prosecuted are not only Ghanaians, but all nationals who have been caught breaking our laws in the sector. And we should also prioritize training and enable law enforcement agencies, to effectively act on tips and investigate and prosecute others who are still operating illegal mines, both citizens and foreign nationals alike. Thank you.
Ojopoku, your take now, but I do want to find out from you, do you think the fight against illegal mining is still on? Do you think we are actively
It's always been on. And like I wanted to comment, look, prosecution of illegal miners did not start because of a demonstration. People in the court have been in the court way before these demonstrations. There's been prosecution, there's been arrest, and there's fight of Galamsey from day one. The fact that within a space of 2 weeks, the NDC went and paid money to people to make noise doesn't make it look like that was when the fight against Galamsey started.
Is this a fact?
Let me make my
but
statement.
Kojo Poku, hold on a second. This is your time to reflect. I will not interject you, but you make a statement like that. I must ask you if you can back it with facts. You said the NDC paid money.
Well, we've
How do you
seen.
know
Listen,
that?
we've seen the accusation and counter accusation on social media.
So they're accused. You don't know for
okay. So can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? The Galamsey fight is still ongoing. How come all of a sudden there isn't a single whisper of this Galamsey conversation? You remember about 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, every single turn, we have even priests going on demonstration or going on a vigil, right? So you should know that there was an attempted support of this. And look, I've heard people on social media with facts accuse people on Twitter of collecting money. Well, I stand to be wrong. I stand to be wrong if that's not true. But look, for my information I have, the NDC, they sponsor people onto the streets and they sponsor people to do these things. And like I'm saying, the fight against Galamsey is ongoing. The fight against Galamsey will always continue. It wasn't today that it started. It's not tomorrow that it's going to end. Right. This government has fought Galamsey. The prosecution, we all heard about Aisha Wan, the lady who was basically prosecuted in jail because she was involved in Galamsey. Did it start today? It did not. So please, let's move on and let it stop making it sound like the government was doing nothing and it took demonstration to bring the government to act. That's not true. Now, the point I want to talk about is I think there should be special courts. There are lots of cases that we have in court. Now, when you have cases like the Galamsey cases and all that, and you throw it into the ordinary court system, I think it would delay. So what I think the Attorney General should do is for us to do a review of the judicial services and create special courts for some of these acts. Because look, you need to have focus in the fight against Galamsey. And I think that we should have special courts prosecuting Galamsey.
Thank you. But I do want to put out that allegation, we cannot back it with the facts. It's his opinion of what actually happened based on information he has.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to call out pretty quickly, and then we can move on, right? We are, look, a lot of people watch your show. When we come on, we should be able to share information that can be backed up.
Are you a host now? Are you a host now?
No, I just want to call this. I agree.
Stay out of it. Let's Abochi do it.
Look, quickly, I'll be done. I agree with you when you talked about special courts. That makes sense. That's a common sense approach to solving this. But when you say make statements like NDC is sponsoring folks to demonstrate, I mean, come on, you should be able to retract that statement.
Well, I will retract it when the people who went on demonstration halfway through the demonstration started singing the party anthem of the NDC. I will retract it.
Okay. So, gentlemen, hold on for a second. Gentlemen, both of you, hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. Let's move on from here. Benjamin, let's do your paper now.
Unfortunately, I'm also going down that same road. You see, I find it distasteful, and this morning I'm going to say this because Kojo makes mention of people getting paid. Then he mentions priests. I'm Catholic. I participated in the Catholic March in the Archdiocese against Galamsey.
Yeah.
Our Archbishop was part of it. Many people, even non-Catholics, were there. So especially when he mentions priests, I'm wondering whether we were also singing NDC, anthems, and we were also there because we were paid. We have to be circumspect. We have to be very careful.
But Ben, I did not say
Please.
But I did not say that.
Hold for me. You mentioned priests, did you not?
No, but not in.
Did you mention priests or not?
You bring to the show. I did not say that.
Fine.
So
you hold on.
I did not say that.
You can make whatever statements and refuse to, but mind you, as you do so here, if someone else someday suggests something without facts, don't get offended. And
I'm not offended,
I also feel that the example
that.
about Aisha Huang falls flat on its face. How did we deal with Aisha Huang? With kid gloves. In fact, we let her escape the jurisdiction. And she came back and did more damage. So even the use of the example of Aisha Huang is baffling for me. But let's move on into the papers. The Daily Graphic, GSA uncovers unapproved material in mattress production. I'll get into that story. AG prosecutes 15 illegal mining cases. You've already delved into that. Ban surface mining, Statesman to government. I'll get into this story. And we'll see whether enough has been done. Sign on to Africa Responsible Mineral Sourcing Initiative, mineral-rich African countries urged. 2024 National Education Week launched. On the back page, 7 dead, 47 confirmed cases, cholera outbreak in central region. Investigate expired rice distribution to senior high schools. NDC caucus urges president. But let me start from here. On page 3, this is not a story per se. There are 2 things here, and I just want to bring them up for health reasons because of some of the things I see, I hear, I know. This one says diabetic retinopathy. Diabetic retinopathy is a complication from diabetes. It causes irreversible blindness and low vision. You can take precautions by having your doctor do a special examination as soon as possible and regularly. Your sight is invaluable. I know why I'm mentioning these 2, because beneath it, it says eye pressure. Every eye has a certain amount of pressure. This is central to glaucoma. Do you know your eye pressure? So this morning, I saw these on, and I've been hearing a lot of stories, you know, some of us who have 4 eyes, so to speak. We get tested often and all that. Check your eyes out, and especially if you're diabetic, you never know what could be going on. I'll start from the back page. Investigate expired rice distribution to senior high schools. Now, the National Democratic Congress caucus in Parliament has called on President Akufo-Addo to set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the alleged distribution of expired and contaminated rice to senior high schools across the country. They said 22,000 bags of 50 kg Moshosho rice imported from India had allegedly expired on December 20, 2023, yet they were allegedly repackaged into white 50 kg polypropylene bags as made in Ghana rice with the inscription CDAO, or like you would have the Francophones call ECOWAS, Regional Food Security Reserve, and distributed to the schools. It goes on and on. We know the story, so I'll not do any overkill here. But I have some questions on that story. Yesterday, we listened to the PRO for the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, and you see the headline in the Daily Guide saying, rice fed to SHS students, not rotten. But my question, there was not FDA approval for Laments to go ahead and do this. Why did they rebag? And, you know, some of the things that happened just leave you wondering what exactly happened and why we ended up here. There are so many things I could bring up, but I'll leave it there. Let me go to the ban on surface mining, and I'll do one more story, and that's it. A statesman and retired accounting and business advisory expert has recommended a total ban on surface mining, including alluvial mining in the country. Ebenezer Magnus Boy, a consummate accountant and traditional leader, stressed that the current surface mining regime, as pertained in the small-scale mining sector, was largely accountable for the devastation of the environment and pollution of water bodies. He described as hypocritical the situation where people cried foul over illegal mining, commonly called galamsey in local circles, but failed to emphasize that the small-scale mining sector contributed significantly to the pollution of water bodies and the destruction of large tracts of land. Finally, looking at the cost-benefit analysis, he emphasizes that while there is the economic motivation to mine, it is also important to ponder the opportunity cost of surface mining. He says, especially when illegal mining is not only destroying the country's vegetation, but also contributing to the climate crisis, policies on mining must not be centered on the economic motive only. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on these? I'll start with you, Wisdom.
She started with Wisdom the first time.
Wisdom, I'll start with you.
Look, this expired rice scandal is very unfortunate and quite a serious allegation. These are some of the reasons why we keep saying that the free SHS policy, which is the umbrella program over the school feeding program, it is a great policy, but we definitely need to review and make it much more impactful for the students, for the parents, and for the nation. Right. Again, I don't think any government will end this free SHS policy at all, but it has to be reviewed and approved. If it was, if I was given the opportunity to manage this, right, I would take another look at the school feeding program and find a way to instead help the parents improve or provide adequate feeding to their kids, or better still, decentralize the feeding program as the former president has been talking about. And when folks are talking about how we can improve this, I think it is unconscionable for others to be driving panic among parents that those who want to improve this actually want to end the program. It is abhorrent and a blatant lie to instill fear into the electorate for crude political gains. Now, to this supposedly
so please try to make your points very brief, Wisdom.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't see anything wrong in the effort by Honorable Ablakwa and his team calling on officials to thoroughly investigate this matter. Yes, I heard the FDA provided a letter that the rice was wholesome. But considering the enormity of such allegations, wouldn't it be just proper then for the Ministry of Education to conduct their own thorough investigation as well, instead of outrightly dismissing the allegation altogether?
Well, I think there is something like that going on, though it has not been concluded on. But Kwesi Kwarteng from day one has said that he doubts this is true. Though in the past, this is not the first of such incidents, and rebagged, name changed, and all of that. You ask yourself, what was the motive? But let's await the investigations, and then, apart from what the FDA has said, if there's further clarity on that matter, we can take it from there. Would you like to move on to any other story, or should I go to Kojopo?
Look, let me add this quickly. That I think the government should know that these allegations, whether true or false, it can lead to significant loss of trust in the entire program, right? The free SHS policy, the school feeding program, and the authorities need to take note of that instead of folks dismissing this as people trying to be politically relevant.
All right, thank you. Kojopo.
Well, there's nothing cruel about your own utterances saying that you're going to cancel free senior high school. Nobody put those words in the mouth of NDC executives. They went out there on the platforms, they went out there on social media, they went out there on radio and TV and told the whole Ghanaian public that they will cancel free senior high school. So nobody is making that on them. And this is something that is on record, that the NDC have said several times and time again that they will cancel free senior high school. So this election, as we've gone around everywhere, everybody wants to protect the most innovative social intervention in this country. And the people will vote against the NDC because nobody wants free senior high school cancelled. Now, this issue of people setting their own questions, setting an agenda, and then now it becomes a topic of conversation. Look, nobody's going to pander to that. The Ministry of Education has come out to say that it will investigate. The fact that Ablakwa said it doesn't make it true. And there's a lot of evidence abound to show that it's not true. So for us to even go towards that lane of discussing and making it insinuating that it's something that could have happened because something was rebagged and because there's motive, let's wait for the investigations to be done. Then we can have a discussion. But look, there's so many things that Honorable Ablakwa has come to say on TV. That's not true. So please, we'll take this with a pinch of salt. Thank you.
You say there are so many things without belaboring the point. There are so many things. Let's assume that is true. That means there are some things he said that are right. And I think on that, we'll just leave it there. But I also had to quickly add the point that I don't know, maybe you may have to produce the stories, but as far as I've known, the rhetoric of the leader of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, and the higher echelons of the party, they have called for a review of the policy, free SHS policy, not a cancellation. So let's put the right information out there.
Right.
You've had your turn already, Wisdom, so I think we have to make tracks. Let's get into other pages.
Let me get into the Anchor newspaper now. They say revealing the truth. And of course, the story about this expired Moshosho rice for student scandal is still here. They say FDA approval letter is out as Education Ministry questions basis for criticism and drama. But Clement Apak outlines Mahama's plan to improve free senior high school. Baumia cut sword for Ultramodern Minerals Commission office at Takwa today. MII, I think that is the Minerals Income Investment Fund, signs MOU with Mintech for strategic partnership. Let me see what stories are here. So the expired Moshosho rice on the front page. Ibn Chambers urges African nations to push for single currency. I'm interested in this. Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, the African Union High Representative for Silencing the Guns and the chairman of the AU High-Level Panel on Sudan, has urged African countries to scale up efforts towards a common currency. Quote, a unified African currency would reduce transaction costs across borders making intra-African trade more accessible and profitable. And that is Dr. Ibn Chambers stated in his address at the 13th ZICS annual lecture series at Nandi Azikiwe University in Accra in Nigeria. I don't know what you think about that. Let me just run through this and I'll come back to you in a bit. APAC outlines Mahama's plans to improve free senior high school. Alan slams Kufuor's endorsement of Bawumia, says he's venturing into dangerous territory. I don't know why he said that. The founder and flag bearer of the Movement for Change, Alan Kyerematen, has criticized former President John Agyekum Kufuor over his recent endorsement of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the New Patriotic Party's flag bearer for the 2024 general elections. In an interview with select journalists on Sunday, we know the story. I'm trying to see what Alan really said. Quote, considering the present global context, I genuinely believe that Ghana's economy would witness substantial growth but that is what Kufuor said. What did Alan say? Kufuor is my uncle, quote, and I hesitate to publicly criticize him, Alan Kyerematen says. However, his endorsement has cast a significant shadow over his political career. Have you noticed how his comments have sparked negative reactions and criticism from the public? Kyerematen went on to express his concerns over Kufuor's involvement in active politics at this stage, warning that it could erode the respect he commands in the country. I'll come to you, gentlemen, for your reflections on this because I think it's interesting. And tribalism, partisanship, and lawlessness are the biggest obstacle to our development, says Toby Apede. And be cautious and thoughtful in criticizing judiciary, other institutions. Again, that is the former President John Agyekum Kufuor. On the back page, we don't have any stories here, but there was something I saw about the Black Stars. Anyway, let's move on. I won't let my daughter abort a teenage pregnancy. Ooh, says Nanama McBrown, Ghanaian actress and socialite. But quick reflections on these two stories. Kojo Poku.
Well, I want to take a quick minute to say something. Whenever we've had election cycles and the NDC has said that they will review something, they end up cancelling it. The key important one is the 4-year senior high school that existed before 2008. They said they will review it, they cancel it to 3 years. They came up and said they will review the national health insurance to one-term payment. That was a disaster. So every time somebody have used, especially that particular party called NDC, have used the review, they end up canceling it and making it worse. Now, let me move on to the issue of President Kufuor. The most successful, or let's say one of the most successful presidents that we've had in this country, right? Today, the youth who were not around to see him govern are benefiting from a lot of the policies he brought: free maternal health care, national health insurance, all the good things that President Kufuor came up. And during his interview, he basically enumerated some of the good things that he had put in place that were again cancelled by the NDC. And he's warning Ghanaians not to make the same mistake again, nor the NPP continue, because the NPP has started good initiatives. And it's only the NPP party that can continue these good initiatives. Now, going 8 years forward and 2 steps back with NDC again is going to be counterproductive for the country. And that is his message to Ghanaians, and that's why he has endorsed His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Anybody else that want to basically throw shade or attack President Kufuor does that at his own peril. The man is impeccable. The man has the track record. Everybody see him as the statesman that he is. So for me, he's my uncle. He's basically one of the best people I've seen govern this country. And I don't see how anybody in today's party politics can accuse and point fingers at President Kufuor, talking about they will challenge his thinking. I think those things just doesn't go well for anybody seeking the higher office that he has occupied in the past.
Thank you. What do you think about Africans being urged to adopt a single currency, according to Ibn Chambers? Quickly, and then I'll move on to wisdom.
Well, we've been trying to do ECHO, which is the West African currency, for a very long time, and we've not been able to do it. So even if the bloc of West African countries have not been able to achieve a single currency within our small ECOWAS bloc, how do you now extend it to the whole Africa? The whole idea in the past, you know, there are various blocks in this country. There are ECOWAS for the West Africans, the South Africans have their block, the East Africans have their block. So the whole idea was that if we're able to achieve single currency within the 4 blocks, then there can be a convergence at a point among the 4 blocks. But as it stands now, it will be difficult to go into Africa when we've not been able to do it for West Africa.
Okay, thank you. I think it's important that we look at it critically because of what we are doing with African continental free trade area and all that. The discrepancies in the tariffs in various regions, infrastructural challenges, we don't even have proper road network and all that. So if we have a single currency, I think that it would be something that would do us good. But Wisdom, let's hear you.
So I think former President Kufuor is a private citizen and he has rights as to who he wants to endorse. We should respect that. But I don't know how much that would transform into actual votes for the vice president, though. I think Dr. Bawumia's challenge at breaking the 8 is not about notable endorsements, but about his messaging. I don't see, I don't know if Dr. Bawumia's messaging is resonating with the youth or Ghanaians as a whole. And when I talk to folks from both sides of the aisle, it seems that the optimism or momentum is with the NDC. That's just the fact, right? And the reason why I suspect Dr. Bawumia's messaging may not be resonating with the voters is that the people are suffering economically, and they need a new leader who can actually help them. And the people don't think Dr. Bawumia, who was the head of the Economic Management Committee, they don't think he's the right person. Number 2, if you're on the NDC side and you look at the Fitch polls and the other credible polls, you could be optimistic. That's why what Dr. Bawumia may be saying or promising on the road. I think that if you live in Ghana or if you follow the issues that are going on in Ghana, as far as the performance of the economy is concerned, regardless of what Dr. Bawumia is saying on the campaign trail today, you would only hear it as a story, fully or totally devoid of any reality for the most part. But I think we shouldn't make the mistake of assuming that, because Dr. Bawumia is part of this current administration, he would automatically govern the same way as His Excellency President Akufo-Addo governed or misgoverned. The vice president is his own man. But he made certain choices. He was, like I said, he was the head of the Economic Management Committee. When they took power, the dollar was trading, or the exchange rate was $1 to 2 cities or 3 cities. Today, it's $1.17 cities. How can you tell me that that is a performance that Ghanaians would like to hire somebody for? I don't think so.
So you don't think that the former president could influence anyone to vote for Bawumia? You don't think his endorsement does anything?
There is a saying, really. No, I don't think so at all. There is a saying in Ghana.
Very brief. We have to move on.
It says, "Shawasitinemu netu abapa." It doesn't matter what the former president says. I have a lot of respect for former President Kufuor, but people are suffering. It's not his words. It's not about his words. It's about how people can easily afford basic necessities in life. That is the reason why I believe strongly that Ghanaians will not choose Dr. Bawumia.
Thank you so much, Wisdom. Ben.
I'll take a story I failed to look at in the Daily Graphic. GSA uncovers unapproved material in mattress production. So it's the difference between using polystyrene instead of polyurethane. And you can check out details on page 13 of the newspaper. When you're buying a mattress, insist on certain standards. This could have health implications, and there's been a crackdown on perpetrators. I would just like to go to the Daily Guide quickly. Sweetie, that story you were doing, and I heard something about only the MPP can continue some policies it has initiated. That goes against the very tenets of development, because it's supposed to be a continuum where no matter which party is in power, there can be continuity. But on the bit about Kufuor is a president I deeply respect. I have always made mention of it, and it will not change. And I feel Delay Adam's comments were very distasteful, very unfortunate. I like the way his party quickly cracked the whip, apologized, and he did same. But those words shouldn't have emanated from his mouth in the first place. And I've insisted, you don't insult anybody, no matter whom, using age or illness.
Yeah.
You never go that way. So I feel that was in very poor taste. But what did Alan say? I see you didn't read the full complement of what he said. Kufuor is my uncle. I don't want to say something publicly against him, but what he has done has created a big blot on his political career. Do you realize how people have started making derogatory comments about him, but that can't be substantiated? He says he's very respected in Ghana, so why would he now be engaging in politics of this nature? He's my uncle, and his actions are bad. He's treading on dangerous ground, and he has to stop. He knows what he's doing. That's, to clarify, what Alan Chemating said, the full complement, at least in respect of former President Kufuor. Some of the stories here we've done already, so I'll not go back to them. Economy Times says, Bank of Ghana likely to hold policy rate. Job availability rises by 9.5% for first 7 months. The number of jobs advertised in the media, which partially gauges labor demand in the economy, increased in August 2024 relative to what was observed in the corresponding period a year ago. According to data from the Bank of Ghana, the total number of advertised jobs for the first 7 months of the year went up by 9.5% to 24,428 compared to 22,303 recorded during the same period in 2023. And then FDI dropped significantly both in volumes and value for first half 2024. So foreign direct investments legally registered in the country for the first half of 2024 has dropped significantly both in volumes and value according to data from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. From January to June this year, the center recorded 69 projects with total estimated investment cost of 186.16 million compared to 72 projects with total estimated value of $274.74 million, representing a decline of 4.1% and 32.24% respectively. So I guess it's a give and take. And the New Republic, finally, anger in Burma camp. 9 soldiers framed up, victimized and court-martialed under the pretext of refusing COVID-19 vaccination. We don't have enough time. If you care to, you can grab details on these stories. Kojo, I'll start with you. Gentlemen, we have maybe 40 seconds each, and then we have to go. Kojo.
Well, this election, like no other, is not about what people think it is. It is that's what this election is about. Think about the future of your kids and yourself. Where we are, the reason for election is not because to look back and say that, oh, somebody did me wrong, so I'm going to basically, that person who you might think did you wrong is not on this ballot. The 2 new people on this ballot, former President Mahama and His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, are people who are vying for votes. They are out there with their solutions to issues. Who best protects your future? And everybody in Ghana has said that today is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, whose policy protects the future of our children and protects the future of this country.
Thank you. Wisdom.
I'm surprised you're saying that because, look...
Wisdom, you have 40 seconds, so you have to go straight to the point.
Quickly. If we don't have food to eat today, or if we can afford basic necessities today, how can we think about the future? What we need to live to be able to get to the future. So I strongly believe it is Shawa Sitinamo Netuabapa. And in my last 10 seconds, Ben, I would strongly also expect the Bank of Ghana to cut policy rate. There are 2 factors that influence that. Inflation is trending downwards, and unemployment, unfortunately, there are jobs that have been created, but it's not going down fast enough. Those 2 factors exist, and those are actually the bedrock for the decision that goes into policy rate cut. And that, I believe, will stimulate the economy to create jobs.
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. Kojo Poku is an energy analyst. Wisdom Dogbe is a financial analyst. We're grateful that you took the time to join us this morning. Sweetie?
Whether it's show at Statesman Network or Show Network, this is the end of the news review segment. It's interesting, is it not?
Ghanaians will decide on December the 7th.
Yes. Please stay for sports coming up next with Muftana Abdullah Abdullahi.